family. I'm trying that greeting up because I don't like the cakey people thing. Sorry if you're used to that, but hey, it's still me. I'm still here. So we're going to do these super simple, really easy cake hearts this week. I'm also going to show you a little extra tutorial of how I put them together with a little cupcake set. And this is the little set. So before we get into it, make sure you subscribe and like the video because that always helps a small channel like me. So here we go. Everything you need will be down in the description. So this is my Love Heart mould, my Geo cake mould, whatever you want to call it, and my candy melts. I've melted them on a double boiler and we're popping them into the cavities. We're only making a few. We only actually need 2 for the cupcake set that I'm doing, but I did make 4 because my kids love them and my husband does too. So I use this double-ended ball tool. It's an acrylic ball tool to fill the cavity once the chocolate's in. I do use candy melts for my products like this. I can't stand tempering chocolate, I'll be perfectly honest. I only do it when I absolutely have to. Candy melts are already tempered. If you like tempering chocolate or you want to have a go, by all means do. I don't do it for products like this. I also mostly like to work with a white base, so it's far easier. So I'm using my acrylic ball tool and I'm spreading the chocolate around. I will link a similar one. You can't actually get this one anymore and I get asked about it all the time. But a ball tool, definitely the easiest thing by far for this and for cake scores. I find a brush, you jab in the bottom, and a spatula, the same, you jab in the bottom. It's not convenient. This is far better. Even if you've got the metal one, as long as it's clean, you can use that one too. That'll work fine. And then I'm using my spatula just to neaten up those edges. Some people cut their moulds and do them one by one. I don't personally like that technique. I like to keep them like this. So I'm just showing you the insides there, and then we pop them in the fridge for 5 to 10 minutes just to firm up, depends how cold your fridge is. Now I'm going back around my edges because this chocolate was quite runny. If it's a thicker one, like the Wilton and the PME are quite thick. This one isn't a Wilton or a PME, this one was the Deco Melts, just what I can get my hands on at the minute because of supply issues, because we're dealing with the double whammy of Brexit and coronavirus in the UK at the moment. So I am using a brush now. It's a short stippled flat-headed brush just to paint the edges to make sure we don't have anything showing through, especially because I'm actually using chocolate cake for these, and obviously it's a white casing around the cake heart and it will show through. So I'm just making sure that we haven't got any raggedy edges, really. And I don't always do this. It's just personal preference on what colours I'm using, what's going inside it, how I felt the chocolate went into the mould. Sometimes I think, do you know what? That went on really well. I don't really need to do another layer. And other times I think, it looks a little bit thin. Maybe I'll just do another layer just to be sure, because safe and sorry. You know, you get to the point where you're taking them out of the mould and you don't know till you've filled them, put the backs on. You don't know until you take them out what they're going to look like, and if you failed and not done it thick enough when you could have just taken that extra 10 minutes to put another layer on, you're much better off. So always being the precautious person that I am. Precautious, that is not a word, is it? Precautious. That's definitely not a word. Maybe we can make it a word. We'll make it a word and then I won't be wrong. It's fine. We're going with precautious. Kind of like it. It's grown on me. Anyway, once we've done this, we're going to pop these back in the fridge for 5 minutes. You can use a freezer if you want to speed it up. I don't like to make my shells too cold because then they sweat when you demold. So I only ever leave mine in the fridge and I only leave them in for as long as it takes. I don't go off and do anything else in the meantime. And if I do need to, I will take them out of the fridge and leave them at room temperature. They're absolutely fine at room temperature. So again, sometimes the moulds are already quite cold and you don't even need to put them back in the fridge to set that extra layer. It sets while you're doing it. So I'm using cupcakes because I baked, I only needed 6 for the order. So I baked a dozen, which my standard cupcake recipe does, most do. So I baked a dozen and I used 6 of them to whiz up in my food processor. You can do this by hand, it will take a bit longer, or you can do it in your stand mixer as well. It's completely personal preference. I like the fine crumb I get in the food processor personally. You can fill with anything you like. You can use a ready-made cake if you want to. I'm using a bit of vanilla buttercream here just to mix in and make it into a cake pop dough. It should feel like Play-Doh. And I mean, most people know what Play-Doh feels like. Try and avoid making it too greasy. It's really tempting. It gets to this sort of stage now and you think, I need to put a little bit more in. You don't. You honestly don't. Trust me. Trust the process. Keep pushing it together. Keep whizzing it around that bowl, forcing those drier crumbs into it, and it will all come together. Don't go adding too much because you'll make it greasy and it won't be pleasant for the people receiving them to eat. So trust the process. So here we go. We've got our nice fudgy chocolate filling that we're going to put inside our moulds that we've took back out the fridge. So I try not to put them too high into the moulds, so I leave 1mm or 2's gap so that we get neater backs. Obviously the backs aren't terribly important, especially in this situation because they're going on to the top of a cupcake, so it doesn't matter too much, but it's still nice to feel proud of your work and feel pride in what you've done. So it's nice for you to know, the back's neat, no one's going to see it, but hey, it looks neat, you know, I can show you guys. Anyway, so we're filling them up. I leave my gloves on for this, not for a food safety issue, because it's actually not safe to use gloves all the time for food safety. It causes you to wash your hands less, they do spread more germs, so I only use them for the messy parts of the job, the mixing of the cake into the buttercream and the filling of the moulds. As soon as this bit's over, I'll take them off. So you don't need to fridge them or anything. You can see I've took my gloves off there. And now we're just filling the backs of the moulds with some more melted chocolate. Like I say, I use a double boiler, so that is basically a pan of simmering water, and then your bowl sits on top. Your bowl should not touch your water. No touching of the water. And then you need to ensure that you're not boiling the water underneath either. It needs to be a gentle simmer, and you're placing the bowl over the top of the pan and waiting for it to melt. It takes a while, but it does mean, because if you use a glass or a metal bowl, it means your bowl, your receptacle is retaining heat. So therefore, you're not ending up with having to constantly be in, out of the microwave. Or the microwave, as Nigella says. But anyway, so I'm jabbering, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I do use a double boiler, and it keeps it warm for much longer, and it's much easier to be redoing if you need to. And I just stand it on a little silicone mat on my desk. So now I'm going to show you a little trick that I use quite a lot. When I need today a rose gold sprinkle mix. I don't want to buy a sprinkle mix in every design possible, every design going. So I'm going to make my own. So I've got some sprinkletti balls, and I've got some normal confetti. You can see these aren't even the same colour starting out. The confetti is pink, the little teeny balls are gold, and the bigger ones are white. And it doesn't matter. So we're going to add a teaspoon. So I use 2 half teaspoons. I don't know why. I don't know. But I used a teaspoon in total, and then a tiny bit of, I couldn't tell you how much, probably less than 1/4 of a teaspoon, probably about 1/8, in a Ziploc bag, zip it up, and give it a good shake. And this is my trick for making custom colours and things like that, or custom blends of things that wouldn't normally come together, etc. And you will see in a minute, they'll all come out exactly the same, and they'll save for another day as well. So I don't need all of these, I only need a little bit. But I'm going to pop them into this bowl so you can see now. That's a lovely white bowl, so you'll see the colour, and you can see there, no problem, all the same, perfect. Can't fault it, honestly. So there's me with my little thumbs up. So we're going to demold these now. So we pull gently from the sides, and that just releases them. These come out the moulds really, really easily. Like cakesicles are a bit of an naughty. Nearly said a bad word. They're not very nice to release from the moulds. They're a bit trickier, but these come away quite easily. You can see a beautiful shine. Oh, I love it when they come out so shiny. Look at the shine. I just want to squish them, but I'm not going to. So yeah, coming out the mould, no problem. All 4 released, no problem. So the kids got 1 each to eat later. So now we are going to decorate. Again, super, super simple. We are using a bit of the melted chocolate that we used earlier in a disposable piping bag, whizzing backwards and forwards. We've only cut a tiny little bit off the top, and then we're popping sprinkles on. So that's simple, guys, honestly. It's a really, really simple way of doing cake hearts, especially if you're just starting out. But it's really effective. Like, and the two-tone of the sprinkles on there is really nice as well, I think. So it only takes a couple of minutes for this to dry as well, and I like to do them one by one because it does dry quite quickly. So I don't know why I went overboard on the sprinkles on that one. I don't know, who knows what I was thinking. But you know, the bonus is I've got double the amount I actually need for the order. These were a client order. So I had the pick of the litter, as one might say. Oh, I went all posh then, I'm not posh. So we're finishing up with the sprinkles. I have rambled on this video. I am so sorry. If you're listening to me and you're just at home like, what is this woman talking about? Like, where's she been? Or she's been gone for a month and now she's released 2 videos and she's rambled at us. She's just rambling. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's supposed to be teaching us how to make these cake hearts and she's just jibber-jabbering. And I'm really, really sorry. I must have drunk too much caffeine today. So, anywho, this is how I decorated my box of 6 cupcakes. So we've got a thin petal tip. I don't know if I show you the tip, I don't think I do, but we're pointing it with the thin side up. So the thin side is facing the outside edge of the cupcake. And this is buttercream. I will pop my standard buttercream recipe for you down the bottom. And then we're colouring the next part with some Colour Mill Rose and a little bit of caramel. The caramel is sort of like a really soft brown and it gives it a more vintage tone. It stops it being too stark. We don't want a really bright pink, and it also matches the colours that I've used for the toppers as well. So my buttercream is quite soft, as you can see. It's not too thick, just showing you the difference in the colour there. So the petal one was done in just a white. I did use some whitener in my buttercream just to make it nice and bright. And then I'm just adding some more colour into this one because I didn't like that there wasn't a big difference between the 2 colours. I wanted a noticeable difference. And then we're going to pipe some rosettes or roses, as you might want to call them. And I'm using tip 2D for that. I will list all the tips down below for you as well. So I made these toppers previously in the week with a little bit of fondant and Tylo powder added to it. That is a sweet stamp. I love that one, it's so pretty. And you don't, if you get it into the mould well enough, you don't even need to paint it, so it's even better. I really enjoy painting, but some people don't. But this order didn't need it painting, so. And then we're going for the multi-piped look. I never know what to call this, I'll be perfectly honest. I call it multi-piped. If it has a name, if you know what it's called, or maybe you want to name it, drop it in the comments for me, because honestly guys, I don't blooming know. So now we're just using a star tip to add the last details and add in our little blend that we made earlier to tie in with the cake hearts, and I will show you in a minute where they're going to end up. So I hope you've stuck with me thus far, and I'm sorry that I've rambled. I'm sorry that I've jibber-jabbered. I'm sure you're probably sick of hearing my voice, but you know, I don't like silence. It makes me uncomfortable. So, you know, just got to put up with me rambling, guys. I'm sorry. But I hope that you're glad I'm back for my regular followers. I'm sorry that I was gone for a month or so. Really struggled with the kids being at home and the homeschool and the blah, and then getting back into work again after, and all the orders that were flooding in and such, with people wanting lockdown cakes and such. So I'm back now, and I will aim to get my 2 videos out every week. Wednesdays and Sundays are my days normally. So now we're using the tip 2D again for the cupcakes. I always like to make sure I pipe and place whatever's going on top straight away before it crusts. So obviously these are the cake hearts that we just made. They're going on top, and this was the final box as it went out to the client. They absolutely loved it. These were chocolate mint cupcakes. I didn't do the cake hearts chocolate mint, I just did them chocolate, but you could add some mint essence in there if you wanted to. And that's the final result. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that you're enjoying all the videos that I put up. If there's anything you'd like to see that you think I should do, please let me know in the comments. Leave me a comment, follow and subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye.